Hi to everyone. So hello everyone, my name is Evan Herbert. I am one of the counselors here, so I'll be the one kind of running our webinar today. This is Deb Pertel. She is our expert on financial aid. So she'll kind of go through a few things and then you guys can ask questions. She has about a 15-minute or so presentation that we're gonna go through, giving you information. And then feel free to ask questions, just type them into me or to the chat, and then we'll go through those towards the end. All right, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
I'm good, yep. Thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. That means to us you want to learn something, and we want to hear your questions. And I'm Deb Pertel. I'm the Assistant Director in Financial Aid. I've been here at Xavier about 7.5 years, and I was a director at another school. So hopefully I can answer most of your questions that you have. I've got about 52 slides that we can go over real fast. And just go over some basics, and when you think of a question, just type it in, and then we'll go over everything at the end, and hopefully maybe I'll be able to cover it.
Okay.
So,
all right, I will start showing the slide now.
Financial aid. Sometimes it's overwhelming whether this is your first child or the last of the bunch. Some financial aid changes. I know some people think, I can't believe how expensive it is. It never used to be that, but we have tried to keep up with the times. Our scholarships normally go up every year. Pell Grants, different grants and scholarships, they all change. So this is why I'm glad you're tuning in to maybe see some of the things that you might have questions that we can answer. Financial aid, really, the basics, it's a partnership. It's a partnership between parents helping their child monetarily, emotionally, the whole gamut. Then we look to the student. The student is responsible. We look to them. They are the ones getting the grades. They are the one getting the bills. They are the one getting the scholarship. But they look for your guidance, your assistance. The third segment in the partnership is Xavier University. And that's where we try to help 100% of the students who apply and are accepted get a scholarship. It's just that simple. That is considered financial aid. Scholarships are considered financial aid. And then we see what else you might qualify for. So that's the basics of financial aid.
Slide 2 now.
Slide 2.
Perfect.
Sources. What is financial aid? Financial aid are scholarships. Scholarships or awards. It could be the Dean's Award. It could be the Bushman Award. It could be the Magis Award. These are is aid that is not paid back. It would also be grants. Grants could be a federal Pell Grant, a federal supplemental grant, an Ohio grant, a Xavier grant, a Muskie grant. All these, when we're doing financial aid packages, it's like making a sandwich. You have your scholarship or your award, and then you might have a grant over here and another a housing grant over there. And by the time you get your award letter, you'll see exactly how much aid that you have. On top of that, besides your grants and your scholarship, we'll be adding, it's automatic when you file the federal form, would be student loans. Student loans as a freshman is $5,500. The feds try to limit how much you can borrow. So as a freshman, it's $5,500, sophomore, $6,500, juniors and seniors are $7,500. This is money that you pay back after you graduate, and a lot of times it's a difference whether you are, if you're in a single, a double, maybe you need the extra for books, maybe for your meal plan. So also it would be, you would add Workstudy. Workstudy, it is a need-based aid, and that also, if you would see on your award letter, that is financial aid, getting a job on campus. So, next slide. Cost of attendance. What Cost of attendance means in financial aid lingo is everything we can think of on how much it would cost to attend college. There are the have-to costs, tuition and fees, room and board. We figure maybe $1,000 for transportation. You're going to be driving to the school, flying to the school. Your parents are going to be driving to the school. Books, we figure about $500 a semester for books. Some might be less, some might be more, but we give an average of cost of attendance. We will put that on our award letters and we estimate the charges. The bill comes from a different department, but when we give our award letters out, you will see your aid and then we will have estimated charges. At this point, we don't know what room or meal plan that you've chosen. So we used to just give, here is your aid, and people would say, against how much? So to help you figure out where you are and what percentage you might need to get on the payment plan or to borrow a parent loan, we offer the cost on everything we can think of going to school. When we can't think of anything else, we add $1,000 for miscellaneous things. They're going to be buying pizza, buying pens and pencils, going to the movies. That's all part of going to school. So, next slide. The application process. So, you've applied, you've been awarded, you've been given a scholarship or award. What do I do? I'm getting calls now saying, I can't afford it on what I have. And we go, I know. So if you do not wish to file the federal form to see what else you might qualify for, that's fine. We recommend the first year that you do. You never know, it's not going to cost you anything to file the free application for federal student aid. There are places. It is FAFSA.ed.gov. Make sure it's ed.gov, because if you see FAFSA.com or org, sometimes until you are almost at the end and they ask for money to complete it, then you're in the wrong website. It's ed.gov. It's free. So how does this work? You will file the federal form, and if it will make you eligible at least for your student loans. You file the federal form, you get the federal loans. If you do not want the loans, we will automatically add them on. If you do not want them, the student, not the parents, because you parents, it is in the student's name, so we need to hear from them. You just say, please remove the loan. If you do remove the loan, you can put it back on at any time. You can cancel it any time. These are funds that you pay back after you graduate. Let's say you don't want it the first semester, but you want it the second semester, fine. Maybe you want the loan the first semester, but you want to cancel it at any time. Just send us an email and we can take care of that. So you would file the federal form. There is parent information and then there's student information, and each will get a personal identification number called a PIN. They will be changing this, I believe, mid-March, where you will not need the personal identification number anymore, and you'll get more information on that from FAFSA when you file it. But for now, you'll get a personal ID number. You will get, once you file it, you will get a form back, a student aid report called a SAR, and it will have the information that you put down. It will be asking for your adjusted gross income. It will be asking how much you paid in taxes, your wages, how many's in the family, how old the parents are. The older the parents, the more their assets are protected. It looks at the student first on how much they make, how much they have, how many are in college. All this is calculated in a federal formula, and it gives you an estimated family contribution. And what that is how much the federal government thinks, the Department of Education thinks you can help your child with their college funds. I know sometimes it's a laugh. You think, I can't afford that. I've seen zero family contribution, which doesn't mean you don't have to pay a penny. I've seen $999,000, and that doesn't mean that they're paying everything, because the student already has a scholarship that could be half tuition, and then you add $5,500 for a loan, so most of that is covered. So we recommend, again, that you file the FAFSA. One thing that I wanted to point out too is verification. You will see when you file the federal form, and I wanted to say too, if you don't use your loans for any reason, or your parent loans, you do not wish to take out anything along that line, then the next year you don't have to file. So this is just something that we ask the first year. You never know what you might qualify for. When you get the student aid report, it might say that you are selected for verification. Verification is something set up by the Department of Education that they want you and the school to verify that the information that you put on your FAFSA matches what you put on your taxes. You can start now. You're welcome to get a copy of your taxes. It used to be we could use your 1040 form and your easy, but no longer. It is the tax transcript, and that is the finished copy of what the IRS has used and processed. If you are selected for verification, we will send you out a form. We will ask for a copy of your taxes and your W-2s. If you haven't filed your taxes yet, and our priority deadline is February 15th, then you can use your W-2 to estimate how much that you've made and how much you've paid in taxes. But if you have been selected for verification, none of your federal aid, whether it's a Pell Grant, student loans, or parent loans, nothing will disperse onto your account until we get the verification information. One thing that I would like to caution you about is, I know the students a lot of times will fill out the FAFSA, and when you put it, will ask for your email address. There's a place for the email address for the parents and one for the students. I would kindly ask, when the students are putting their email address down, not to put your school, NotreDame.org or whatever, because that's the email address that we are going to be sending things to you. And once you're here, you will no longer be in high school, and you will not be getting our emails. Everything we do is by email, and except for one thing that I'll be telling you in a little bit on how we're going to be sending out our award letters this year. So that's information on the FAFSA. Don't use your high school address. So the timeline. Filing your FAFSA. Once we pull it in, we're just now pulling in the FAFSAs and the information. Right now, all you can see is that you've been awarded the Presidential Scholarship or the Leadership Award, something along that line. Once we get the results of your FAFSA, we review it, we look, and we see how much need is left. For financial aid, there is merit aid and need-based aid. And if I'm going too fast too, I know this is a lot of information that I'm feeding you.
Yeah.
Save your questions, I'll answer anything you want, but I can feel myself getting on a roll, and I don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of information. But what's going on timeline? So Once we get your FAFSA, we'll look to see merit aid is your scholarships. You got that. It doesn't matter how much money the parents or the family has. If you're smart, you get an award, you get a scholarship. From there, we look at need-based aid. A lot of people say, well, I don't qualify for anything, we make too much. Well, you never know. Are there two in college? That makes a big difference. Ohio is looked at differently than Kentucky, than Illinois, than California. It looks at how old the parents are, how many's in the family. If someone makes $80,000 and there's two in a family, that goes a little bit longer along the way than if you make $80,000 and there's six in the family. So once we get all the information, our award letters should be going out the 1st of March, the beginning of March. And this year we're going to do it a little bit differently. You're going to get notified. First of all, we're going to be emailing you to the address that you put on your FAFSA. We're going to be mailing you your award letter. You're going to list, you're going to see, okay, I've got this scholarship. Oh, I've got a housing grant of maybe $1,500. I might have a Xavier grant. And then I have the $5,500 in loans. You might have federal Workstudy. Again, that is need-based aid. Job on campus equates to about 8 to 10 hours a week. You get paid every couple weeks, and it's minimum wage. So we're going to send out the award letter so you can see exactly how much you have, and we're going to estimate the charges. This is just estimating because sometimes parents will still refer to the award letter on housing, but maybe you've chosen a different room. There will be room and board estimates even if you're commuting, because someone's paying for your room and someone's paying for your meals. So even if you're commuting, we figure in the cost of attendance, we figure that in on how much it costs to go to college. So once you get your award letter, we're sending, emailing it out. Then I understand admissions is going to be sending out an email preparing you, saying your award letter is going to be coming along with this year a mailer. It will have your aid on it. It will have who your personal financial aid counselor is going to be, and it's going to have a lot of facts and figures about Xavier. It's just not going to be, here's your aid. We love to brag because we've got a lot to brag about. I wanted to say too up front, it's always good. I give a lot of high school presentations, and I have to be pretty generic when I am addressing just giving financial aid presentations. But I love giving information to Xavier students, to Xavier parents, because that's when we can really toot our own horn and brag on what a good school, the graduation rates, the retention rates, the job placements. So all that should be in the information that you will be receiving for the paper award letter. And that's probably one of the last things you'll get on paper. After that, then the bursar will be sending out their bills. They publish the bills telling you it's available to look online. So, deep breath. That was a lot of stuff. Let me make sure. Oh, you will also at that point will be able to see your award on the road to Xavier. So 4 different spots between our award letter and the email that's going to be sent out and the mailer and the road to Xavier. At that point, look at your award letter and go, okay, is this a good fit? I realize it's a family decision. We have payment plans. There are parent loans. There's all different ways that we can help you afford a Xavier education. So I am going to give you a couple questions, and I will give you the answers, and maybe it might be some of your questions. So, first one. I'm divorced. So who files the FAFSA? That's always an easy one. It's whoever the student stays with at least 51% of the time. The one who is the most, is contributing most to the child's, I say the child's, the student's, young adult's welfare. Joint custody, I understand that. Maybe one year the mother will file, the next year the father will file. So it's all how you've worked it out. We have a special circumstance form, and that is used for, I just filed my FAFSA and I said I made $80,000, but I just lost my job, or I lost it last December, so my taxes really don't reflect on how much I made. Or I have 2 children in private school and I'm paying $15,000 for private school. We have a special circumstance form. It's not up on the web yet on our financial aid website. We're updating it now. There's nothing to do for right now, but you'll find it on our website under forms, and you can look at it. You can look at, we have the 2014-2015 on the web now that you can look. Nothing really changes that much, but you will see exactly what it addresses and exactly what we need. So for private school education, we would need a letter on the school's letterhead, how much you are paying for tuition, not for the current student coming in, but the children that might be there this year in the year 14-15, because your taxes are looking at 14-15. Let's say tuition at the private school is $10,000, but your child has a $5,000 scholarship. We want to know how much was paid, and what we do is subtract that amount from your adjusted gross income, which will lower your income, which could lower your family contribution from your FAFSA, which could increase your aid. For the private school tuition, give us a call first before you do anything, before you fill out the form and you have to go through a lot of things, because if you're making $100,000 and you're paying $5,000 for private school tuition, that's not going to dent, even though I understand $5,000 is a lot, but in the scheme of things of subtracting it from $100,000, it wouldn't make that much of a difference. The lower your income and you're paying private school tuition, Catholic school, it could make a difference. So call us first before you jump through any hoops so we can walk you through it. So that would be special circumstances. I talked a little bit about verification. If you are selected, I mean, there are still some students, maybe because they didn't get our email, we send out weekly missing information letters, probably beginning in March, on what we need, so it's not a surprise. So you are welcome to go to irs.gov and get a copy if you've already filed your taxes, to be ahead of the game. I think that's all I have.
All righty then. Well, let's go back so they can all see you. All right, and then I will pull up. We've had a lot of questions so far, so I'll go back to the first one. We'll just kind of go down the list. All righty. Hold on one second. Do you have to apply for financial aid to obtain campus work opportunities?
Yes. Campus Workstudy is need-based aid, and the only way to determine need-based aid is to file a FAFSA form.
And along that same vein, is how do you know if you're eligible for Workstudy? It's through the FAFSA, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
If you have, every year we get less and less funds from the Department of Education for Workstudy. So every year we have to keep, the way we normally offer it is dependent on your family contribution number. We keep lowering it and lowering it. Last year it could have been maybe $18,000 if your family contribution from your FAFSA was about $18,000. You could have qualified for Workstudy. What Workstudy is, and I can explain a little bit about that. We have a job fair on campus every year. It's normally the first or second day of school. You bring your resume. It's almost like speed dating. There's a bunch of tables set up in the Cintas Center. You look through the book on, oh, I think I'd love to work in financial aid. That's what they all say. Really, it's admissions. And everywhere on campus, some will be having a table, and you apply. For me, it's kind of hard to think that fast and look at faces. So a lot of times I'll ask the students to maybe come back to my office the next day where we can talk a little bit better. But because we don't get that much money, we offer it to the freshmen only. And if you don't use it that year, we do not put it on your aid the next year because we run out of money. But if you find a job on campus and you use it, then next year, when you file your FAFSA again, we'll be putting your Workstudy on there. We'll be putting your scholarship back on. All your grants will go on. So every year, you would be filing a FAFSA if you have some type of need-based grants or need-based Workstudy aid.
All righty. How do I know if you've received my FAFSA and if there are any other documents pending that I need to send?
How do I know? Well, our school code is 003144. Make sure that it is Xavier University, Cincinnati. There is a Xavier, I believe, in New Orleans. And sometimes people will call us and be very irate that they haven't heard from us, et cetera, and they have the wrong Xavier. But let's assume you've done it correctly. You will be receiving a student aid report back from the FAFSA folks saying we've got your information, is being processed, and we are sending it to the schools that you have requested. It will also say whether you were selected for verification, but again, you can start collecting the tax transcript from irs.gov, or wait for us to send you an email saying, okay, it's time. But if there's something we need, trust me, we'll be contacting you.
All righty. So I think just scrolling down, what is the latest date you can update your FAFSA after completing your 2014 taxes?
Well, we will be awarding you on the information initially put. I think the feds asked for it to be updated, but for our point of view, now, if you put that, we say estimate, and there's a difference between estimate and guess. So let's say, I think I made $40,000. We are going to be giving your award letter on all the calculation of $40,000 and how many's in your family, et cetera, et cetera. But by the time maybe you were selected for verification and it was really $80,000, some aid might need to be adjusted. So for us, if everything remains relatively the same, we personally do not need an updated FAFSA.
All right. Will the tuition exchange program with other colleges and universities be revisited once students have finalized their acceptance?
Tuition exchange. What tuition exchange is, I work at Xavier, and of course my child wants to go to Transylvania College in Kentucky. There is a process. When I say exchange, that means that the other school has applied. I'll say it's incoming, not for us outgoing, but somebody works at Transylvania and their child wants to come to Xavier. So we get notified by the other school's HR department. We normally get maybe 80 to 120 applicants every year. And we're making decisions end of February, beginning of March on, we want about 5 to 7, so we might offer it to 10. We used to keep a list, but we would send out a letter saying, you have been awarded tuition exchange. It'd be great if you could tell us within a couple weeks, and if you don't want it, we'll go to the next name. Well, people were saying, I have till May. And yes, they do. So by the time a student would say, no, they're not coming in May, and we go back to our list, that those people have already deposited somewhere else, and it makes it a lot cleaner. You will know upfront by March whether you have been selected or not. We do not keep a list. How do we select? Well, we used to just start with the 4-pointers, 4.0, and go down the list. Well, everybody wants the smartest kids on the planet, but there's more to being a college student than being smart. Are you involved in clubs? Have you contacted, have you taken a tour on campus at Xavier? If you've applied to 25 schools, we don't feel real special. So there's various things that go into the selection process. And again, we want about 5 to 7 students, and we'll offer it to 10, hoping that we only get 5 to 7, because we have to keep a balance on how many is going out and how many is coming in. That was a long explanation.
Yes, it was.
Sorry.
That's all right. What if you filed the FAFSA using our tax information from last year's tax return? Do you recommend completing your tax return for February 15th and updating the FAFSA?
If it's pretty close, if you made the same as last year and maybe you didn't get a big raise, or maybe it was just a small one, we ask that you estimate. If you feel more comfortable putting in the exact figures at a later date, that's fine.
All right. If you receive a scholarship, is it for 1 year or for all 4 years with the same amount every single year?
That's a great question. You get it for 4 years. Each has a grade point requirement. If you have a presidential scholarship, a chancellor scholarship, that's a 3.0. Anything that has the word award, leadership award, Magis award, Bushman award, Dean's award, I really hate to tell you this, it's a 2.0. So I will be checking. I am part of the committee that will be checking the grades every May. And I know sometimes first semester freshmen, you're in a different world, you're in a different place, you're in a different school, you're with different friends, a different routine. We get that. You know how to go to school. You've been going to school for 12 years. So we know you can fall off a little bit, but we don't check grades until May. So if you need that 2-point, or if you need that 3-point, and you're on the bubble at the end of the first semester, take a deep breath, do your best, hunker down, and you'll be fine by May. But it's good for 4 years.
All right. So you have to be need-based to get any job on campus.
Well, you could check with career services. Maybe they might have jobs around campus. There's there's Starbucks now. I don't think that's Workstudy. There's a whole new university station down the street. There are Kroger's. There are other places that maybe can help you. But your main job is to go to school. It's good to have some extra walking cash, but sometimes students and sometimes you parents, you want your student to have a job and to work and to help pay, but sometime to try to find a job to earn that extra $1,000, you could be losing your $18,000 scholarship because of your grades, because you're working too much. So just looking for a balance, but career services would be a good place to start.
If my admission letter included a merit award, may I petition for additional merit aid? Are such additional awards available?
Here's the good news on that too. Your merit aid would be your scholarship. And then we would look to see what other grants you might be eligible for. However, we did say that your scholarship's good for 4 years, but let's say you have the Dean's Award and you need a 2.0, and you are really smoking it by the end of the semester or mid-semester of your second of the spring, you've got a 3-point going. Well, we have 4 pages of internal Xavier scholarships that I love all the students to know about. We put it on the portal. I tell it to every student that comes in my office. Our office does that because this would be in addition to what you have, because your initial scholarship or award is based on your junior high school grades, because when you applied and are accepted, you haven't finished your senior year yet. So I'm saying don't get senioritis, but it's based on your junior grades. So once you're in college, that's a whole different ballgame. There are, between the 4 pages, some are based on your grades, some are based on your major, some based what year you are in school. So by the the link is eligible, and most of the scholarships for the next year, and I'm talking, this would be for the next fall. The link is available normally March, and by March you pretty well how you're doing. You've already gotten your grades in December, and you're really cooking the second semester. The scholarships will not be given out until grades are in May, so you won't know after you apply until maybe June whether you got it or not. But there's the upper class scholarship, that's $3,000, $2,000 to $3,000 on top of what you have, and that's good for 4 years too.
All right. If a student has a merit award and later becomes an RA or a resident assistant, will the merit award be relinquished?
Never. Unless you flunked out or something. No, it is independent of being an RA. Scholarships are tuition-based. The RA, resident assistant freshmen, I believe, are not allowed, but sophomores, they look for trustworthy, reliable people. It's a process. I've had to write recommendations before, and I was surprised on the amount of paperwork and things that they look for. So free room and board, whew, can't beat it.
All right. I don't know. You may not know this, but how do the IU credits I'm receiving from high school transfer to Xavier? I might have to talk about that.
How do they transfer to in? You mean like AP credits?
So college credits in general, the way that it'll work is if it's a C or higher, or from an accredited institution, they will be able to transfer to Xavier. How they transfer is up to our credit evaluation office. They will take in all the final transcripts of students. They will look through all the credits of students who are coming, and they will send you back a list saying, this has been accepted into Xavier's curriculum. This is how it transferred, whether it's an elective or whether it's the class you took. It's not a directly equal scale. It depends on the school's curriculum and our curriculum, how they match up. All right. And then, yes. All right. And then the next question is, can you please go into a little more detail about the payment plans?
The payment plans. Well, we only have one payment plan, and you have to sign up every semester. This comes through the bursar's office. The bursar is the holder of the purse, basically. Financial aid gives out the money. The bursar office brings it in. We are going to be having another webinar. It's going to be me again, and we're bringing in the bursar so you can have a little bit more detailed questions about this, but the payment plan, it is 4 payments. So it begins in August. So we give out the year award, the bursar bills by the semester. So if you have 30,000 worth of aid, 15 of it is going to apply in the fall and 15,000 is going to apply in the spring. So if you have 15,000, tuition's going to be 17,000 maybe. Then you've got some room and board and fees. So there's going to be a gap in there from the aid that you have compared to the charges. What's left over will be how much you owe, and you can divide that into 4 payments. So that would be August, September, October, November, and then it begins again in December. Happy New Year. I think we sent it out like the first, no, it's January. The first payment would be due in January, February, March, April. There is a $50 fee to enroll. There is only an interest charge if the payment is late. They bill on the 15th of every month and the payment is due on the 1st. That's about as much as I want to get into because I know I'll probably get something wrong. You'll get some type of card in the mail if you have a refund coming or some type of credit. You will, this card you have to go online and say if you want your credit going to your checking or savings or whatever, and then you can throw the card away. I don't want to get into too much detail. I'll leave that to the bursar guy who'll be with me. But if you do not want to join the payment plan, there are parent loans. For the student loans, it's studentloans.gov. For the parent loans, it's studentloans.gov. You'll be using your special PIN number from the FAFSA. For the students, there's no credit check. If you're a student, at least half-time at Xavier, you get your loans. There are a couple things you would need to do. When we put the loans on your award letter, they do not automatically disperse onto your account until you go on to studentloans.gov. You will complete entrance counseling. It's a short little test. Yes, I know I have to pay it back. This is the interest, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. 6 months after you graduate, or unless you drop below half-time, you begin paying it back. After you do the counseling, then you complete the promissory note. Those for the student loans. It's good for 10 years. So next year, when you file the FAFSA, being a sophomore, I'm going to put your award back on, your aid back on, your grants back on, and your loans will go up 1,000 when you're going to be a sophomore. For parents, parents can take up to the cost of attendance after you subtracted all the aid, but yours is a credit check. So you can't do it more than, well, it was 90 days. I think they just upped it to 180 days on how long your credit's good for. Excuse me. In other words, if school starts in August, I would apply maybe mid-July. It takes a couple hours to see whether you are approved or denied. So if it's approved, then you have to complete your master promissory note. Also, if you're denied, you can either get an endorser, have them look at it again, or if it is denied, then the student can take an additional $4,000 onto their loan. So there are the student loans, parent loans, the payment plans, and then there's the alternative private loans like Sallie Mae, Wells Fargo. All this information is on our loan site. I'm just kind of giving you a brief overview, but all the loans are paid back after the student graduates.
All right, so these next 2 questions are pretty similar. We talked a little bit about them, but are parent-student loans taken into consideration under special circumstances? And one of them was a general question. Can you cover a little bit more about parent loans?
The student loan, what was the first question?
Are parent-student loans taken into consideration under special circumstances?
Student can take a loan out anytime. It doesn't matter the circumstances whatsoever. If the student is at least 6 hours they're eligible for the student loan. But nothing will disperse until they complete the entrance counseling and the promissory note. It's good for 10 years. So after you graduate, you go to grad school, you don't have to fill this out again. The parent loans, again, it is a credit check, and you would have to apply every year because it is credit-based. So I would look to see how much aid the student has, along with their loans. Instead of maybe the parent loans, sometimes parents say, I want all the loans in the student's name. That's when you would look for the alternative private loans, the Sallie Mae. The student would need a credit-worthy cosigner, and a lot of the times that all the alternative loans have the basic bells and whistles, paid back after they graduate. A lot of them after you make, if you have it automatically deducted, they'll take off 0.5% when you start paying it back. They'll drop the cosigner after a year, so if they're not on for the life of the loan. A parent loan is a mother or a father. An alternative loan, the cosigner can be an aunt, an uncle, a friend, a grandma, grandpa. Anyone can cosign that has good credit. But a parent loan is a mom or a dad. My nose itches, sorry. Somebody's talking about me.
All right. Well, next question. Let me slide up here. My W-2 is showing an inflated gross income because I exercise stock options. Should I submit this information on the special order form?
No. Things like rollovers, it doesn't count. We wouldn't see that. Some people say, I've had to break into my 401k. Well, that is income. The FAFSA, it's not the best that there is, but right now that's all we have. And it's hard to look at everyone's different personal situations. Some people are savers. Some people are paying off their older children's graduate loans or their loans. Some are taking care of a mother that lives in other states. The FAFSA cannot address the unique situations like that. So to get back to your question, if you received the money, and maybe it was quirky for this year, it's looked at as income. Now, next year when you file the FAFSA, your income could go way down, and we will be looking at your FAFSA again, or their aid differently. So let's say this year, everything was hunky-dory, and so all they got was their scholarship and maybe the student loans. Next year, if you lost your job or your income did change because of you didn't receive the stock options, we would look at it again. And new FAFSA is another year where we look at what you have. You might have 2 in college. That makes a difference too. If your estimated family contribution is $20,000, next year, 2 in college, each one will probably be around $10,000. They look at the student first. Maybe one student has a better job than his brother, but roughly you'll cut that in half. So a lot of variables.
All right. With Workstudy, is it just a job that pays, or does it also take off a portion of the tuition?
It only takes off a portion of the tuition if you put that money on your bursar account. That's kind of the simple answer. You get paid, it's a job on campus. You get paid individually every 2 weeks, minimum wage. Some students might put, $15 or $30 onto their account every paycheck. Some, that's their walk-around money. But it is a job, and it has nothing to do with what you do with it. One thing too, you'll see on your award letter that you're eligible for work study, but you might not see any amount. For our financial aid award letters will have, you can make up maybe to $2,300 a year. You don't subtract that from your bill, but that's how much you can earn. You have to earn that to use it.
Do you know how many hours a student worker can work in a work study position?
About 8 to 10 hours. It really depends on how busy the office is, but really we don't like to work you more than 10. There's normally, in our office, we have, I think, 5 student workers. And the way it works, pardon the pun, is we'll give you a blank, we'll give you a spreadsheet every semester and say, you tell us when you can work. We don't tell the work studies, well, you're working from 2:15 to 5 o'clock on Mondays and Wednesdays. Well, and it's going to change, your schedule's going to change every semester. So it equates to about 8 to 10 hours a job, depending on where you work.
Is it possible for scholarships to be upgraded from year to year based on grade performance?
No, but that's up to you if you want to apply for additional ones. Once it's slotted in, if it is a $19,000 presidential scholarship, it's going to be $19,000 by the end of year 4. It does not go up as tuition might. That's always a question we get. How much does tuition go up every year? Average about 2.99%. I think that's what it was this year. But no, it remains the same. You can qualify maybe for other ones. We hope that maybe that you're bringing in outside scholarships too, from the Rotary, from where you work or where your parents work, your church. Some are good for 4 years, but most you might get $1,000 and it's good for the first semester. And that's why your bill might look a little bit different the second semester because you brought in the outside scholarship.
And every single year you should be applying to more and more scholarships, both through Xavier and through external opportunities as well. So.
Yes.
All right. And then do you know what grants can cover housing, if we have any?
It's need-based depending on your FAFSA, but the last couple of years we've been given a $1,500 housing grant. And that kind of helps with room and board.
All right. Do you need to apply for the FAFSA if you want private scholarships?
Private scholarships. You know, some, if you're referring to the 4 pages of internal Xavier scholarships we have, once you've done at least a semester here, some are need-based. Some will say good conduct, good standing, sophomore status. Out of 4 pages, I am aware of 1 scholarship that requires an essay. The rest, you're contacting the music department or the art department or the business college, and you're putting in your name, your grades that you know so far, what you're involved in, and zip it off you go.
All right. Local scholarships deduced from merit award. Sorry, deducted from a merit award.
No.
Okay. Simple answer.
All scholarships are tuition restricted, meaning, let's say tuition is $30,000. I'm rounding it and it's more than that, but let's say $30,000, and you have a $30,000 scholarship. You have a full ride and you get $1,000 outside scholarship. We might have to reduce your scholarship down to $29,000 because you brought in the $1,000, and the next year, because you might not have that $1,000 that you're bringing in, the next year it'd be $30,000 again. But if you have a $16,000, $17,000, $18,000, $19,000 scholarship, you've got a way to go to fill that gap. So bring in as many as you can.
If you make more than $190,000 a year, you have no debt, and you have 1 child, what are your chances of getting something?
100%.
Okay.
Student loans.
Perfect. All righty.
That is financial aid.
All right. When would a special circumstance letter be due?
Be due. Nothing's ever really due. You'll get your award letter in March. And let's say you want to tell us about that you lost your job in December. You'll look at the special circumstance because we're going to need a letter from your employer. We're going to need your last paycheck. There's a lot, we get audited every year. And so when we're asking for all these things, the auditors check on how we based our decision to lower your income, because just looking at your taxes, it says you've got a lot here because you've only been laid off a month or so before you file the taxes, but come that next fall, your income is different. So when is it due? Maybe before the first bill is due. Maybe you lose your job mid-year. That's when you call up financial aid and say, what do I need to do? Look at the form. Normally we ask for you not to file anything for about 6 weeks. By that time, you'll know how much you're getting in unemployment, getting all the information, gathering in the information that we need for us to adjust your aid to see what else you might qualify for. So at your convenience.
Do you require filing the CSS?
No, we do not. We're one of these schools I know that surround us that do not ask, and you're very welcome on that because it's very, I don't want to say intrusive, it just asks an awful lot of questions that we do not need.
What % of need on average do you try to meet?
This sounds like someone who's had children in college before. It depends. We have said in the past, and I don't know what the figures are for this year, we try to meet maybe 45 to 47% of your need. And that would be based on subtracting your scholarship and what other aid we think you might qualify for.
All right. Next is, if I decide to live off campus after a couple of years, would I still receive my merit award?
Your merit award, you're the only one that can lose it. Let me put it that way. You will always have, if you're talking your scholarship or your Bushman award, no one's ever going to take that away. If for when you move off campus, your cost of attendance will not change either, because you're not paying Xavier for room and board, but you're paying someone else. So we keep your cost of attendance the same, even though you might be living off campus. So no, don't worry about the merit aid. Only you can lose that by your grades.
All right. Are grants need-based only?
99.9% yes.
All righty. When will nursing scholarship be released?
I don't know.
I'm not positive. Are there selected nursing scholarships available?
They would have to check with the nursing
Sorry,
department. We're at the end of the domino.
Mm-hmm.
On some of these things, it's just like the awards. Admissions gets the transcripts and the ACTs, and then they tell us this student is eligible for this. For the particular ones, that would be the nursing department that determines that would tell us, and we would put it on your award letter.
And this next question is for me. When would you recommend sending in your grades to the credit evaluation office if you are a post-secondary student and this year at another college? Those should already be on your transcripts. If you're taking them this year, you will still be required to send us your final transcripts, and that's upon entry, that's upon our decision. We need everyone's final transcripts no matter what. So we will see those, and then we'll see that you've taken college level classes, and we will directly send them to that credit evaluation office. If you want us to know which ones you're taking now, you're more than welcome to send them, but we will definitely see them on your final transcripts as well. Next question, is it possible for the student only to get student loans for the total amount needed for college with no parent loans?
No. Student loans are $5,500. That's not going to fill the whole gap up to, I think our cost of attendance, oh golly, I'm guessing, could be maybe 48,000. So before your heart goes into seizure, that's all, that's room and board, transportation, books, pizza, the whole bit. The have-to costs are the tuition and fees, the room and the board if you're staying on campus. But to make up that much might be a chunk unless you are bringing in a lot of scholarships, so you have a full tuition scholarship, then room and board is going to be another $10,000, and if you've got a $5,500 loan, you're still going to have a gap. So again, if the parents do not want to take out a parent loan, you have a couple alternatives. You join the payment plan, or you find a creditworthy cosigner that can be anyone, including a parent. Like I said, a grandma, grandpa, an aunt, an uncle, a neighbor, a friend, a brother, sister.
Can scholarships be used for room and board, or is it just tuition?
Scholarships are used for tuition because they won't be over the cost of tuition. They are tuition restricted and tuition based.
Would Xavier reevaluate merit aid on the basis that a comparable university offered more merit aid?
I love this question. My knee jerk is to say probably not, but let me explain. It's not always apples to apples. Every school, because I know people will bring in saying, here's my award letter, they're giving me this, and you're giving me that. And a couple things. I can never, ever understand why a 3.5 and a 30 ACT at school A gets $5,000, and at school B, they're worth $19,000. I have no idea what other schools, how they think. Every school has different endowments. Harvard has B for billions. Every school has different enrollment goals. I'm always surprised that people can't get into Ohio State. It seemed like everybody, that they would take everyone, they're so huge, but they cap their enrollment also. Everybody has different budgets. It's like a family budget, and I know you all understand family budgets. When the money's gone, it's gone. We overspend. Sometimes people will call us and say, I know Sally Johnson, she was coming with me and she decided not to come. Can I have some of her scholarship money? It doesn't work like that. We overspend. It's just like the tuition exchange. We offer to 10, hoping that 5 to 7 come. Because of budgets, some of the money is just finite. So we will do our best. If it's the difference between $1,000 of you coming here or going to school B, we can talk. But if someone is offering you, I know in the past there have been schools around us that have not made their enrollment goals. So one year they'll be throwing money at the students, and the next year they're not. So it's like making a mattress. They always say you can't compare. It's not apples to apples. So we would gladly, if you wish, us to look at another award letter, but it really doesn't influence us that much because we all have different budgets, goals, enrollments, endowments. We really try to do our best when we give our aid letters out.
Alrighty. Is the FAFSA needed to get a student loan, and is it guaranteed?
Yes, and yes. By filing the federal form, it gives you privilege into borrowing federal money. It's guaranteed. If you're a student, at least 6 hours, you get a student loan. And I happen to have, and nobody's asked a question yet, the parent loan, the interest right now is 7.21%. And the student loans is $5,500, but if there's need, is determined by the family contribution. If there's need, $3,500 of that, more than half, is a subsidized loan, which means the government is paying your interest while you're in school. And then the rest $2,000, the interest starts accruing as soon as it's dispersed. So let's say you have a high EFC as the family that said they make a boatload and there's only, a couple in the family. You'll still get $5,500 loan, but it would be all in the unsub category, which it would start accruing interest when it's dispersed. What I would do, you don't have to pay it back till after you graduate, but what I would do is probably just pay the $20 a quarter, whatever it is, to pay the interest as you go along.
All right, and then so far we have one more question. Let's people think of a few other. We have a little bit of time before we wrap things up. But the last question as of right now is, you mentioned a $5,500 cap for student loans. Is that per year or semester? Per
year. $5,500. When you're a sophomore, it's $6,500, and junior, senior, it's $7,500.
All right. Any final questions before we wrap things up?
One of the things, I know you weren't asking me, but I thought about some of the FAFSAs that we're getting to. Sometimes students think and parents think that once a student turns 18 that they're independent. The feds have a different view. It'd be great if the students lived, had their own place. That still does not make them independent. So when you file a FAFSA, for a student to be independent, you need to be at least 24 years old, married, have children to support, at least 51%. Just because you have a child, that might not necessarily make you independent. If you're living in the dorm, you're not supporting that child. That would make you still a dependent. Sometimes parents say, I can't help you out, you're on your own. That is a personal decision, but according to the Department of Education, you are still considered a dependent student. And the other thing is, if you have your degree already, you are considered independent.
All right, and then we have one more question.
Yep.
What's the interest rate on student loans?
I didn't get that far, did I? It's 4.66%. They also take, the feds, they have a small processing fee. So if you have $5,500, what is going to hit your account is going to be $5,490. So when you look at your Versar bill and you're trying to make it to the penny and it's a little bit less, that's because the feds, before it even hit Xavier, has taken out 1.073% off your sub or unsub loan. Parent loans too, that processing fee is 4.29.
David said, 2 kids and 6 FAFSAs into this, I still keep learning.
Thank you. I know, thank you. Someone just asked me today, I'm writing a column on the things that parents need to know and how soon should they start. And it changes just when you think you've got it, but one child might get a full ride and another child might need a little bit more help, and so it's never too early to learn.
All right, well, I guess that's the end. I want to thank you all very much for coming and joining us. Thank you, Deb, for being here and being an expert. We will be having another one in about 2 weeks, and this will be with Deb and then someone from the Versar office, so you can have ask both of them questions. And usually we do Muskie Chats about every 2 weeks. So there are a number of different things. So stay tuned. Please join in. Thank you all very much for being here. If you guys have any questions, I put my information there. We'll put this recording and some of the slides that Deb has given me on the road to Xavier, so you can check back. Deb's information will be on there as well, so you can reach her. you guys have certain things you would like to hear about, let either one of us know. We would be happy to help.
Be happy.
All right. Well, thank you all. Have a great
Thanks.
evening. All right. Bye.
Bye.